So I can remember covering the 2020 election about a year later, and I think it was the first Stop the Steal rally at Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia, and I saw what I thought was a BLM flag, Black Lives Matter, but it actually said Biden's laptop matters.
Oh, yeah.
And so I asked the guy, what the hell does that mean? And he just sort of kept yelling the slogan over and over again. Couldn't get much out of him.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, what happened with that?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. And I really mean that sincerely. Like, you'll have a lot of people that will come up with something about the laptop. But I always say to anybody, I mean, you're steeped in the, and just through your work, the right-wing narrative around it. And my question to anybody that is keeping an open mind is, what is it that you think the laptop proves? Or what you call the laptop? So everybody has a laptop. So when they say Hunter Biden's laptop, what is it that they're talking about? Do you know?
Well, I know that you, your entire iCloud was connected to it, all of your personal text messages, private photos, all that kind of stuff.
Like everybody's laptop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you left it with a repair shop owner who, for some reason, gave it to Rudy Giuliani. Not exactly sure how that's legal. He distributed it to the press, particularly I think the New York Post was involved in the spearheading of this mass dissemination of your private materials. From what it seemed like, it was a lot of private text between you and your friends, family. Your entire sort of private life was on there.
Yeah. And again, so everybody has a laptop. Everybody has a cloud.
I'm assuming not.
No. Not everybody has a laptop. Everybody has a digital life. Almost everybody has a digital life. Everybody has a digital life, pretty much. And that includes voicemails and pictures and text messages and emails and location data and, everything. Everybody, you do, everybody that is here right now. By whatever means, they got my digital footprint going back decades. Over 20 years. Again, I ask anybody, you're steeped in this, and this isn't a challenging question, but it kind of makes my point. What does my laptop prove about criminality or anything, other than what I had already readily admitted to, completely transparent about, is my drug addiction?
Well, I'm trying to remember specifically what the most radical conspiracies that I heard. I think that a lot of people are concerned or curious about various international business dealings.
So I served on the board of well over a dozen different entities, way more than that, including major global organizations. I was the vice chairman of the board of the National Passenger Rail Corporation, which is otherwise known as Amtrak. It's the largest passenger rail company in the world, which is more than just a rail company. It's also a real estate company. It's also a commercial real estate company. It's a residential real estate company. And it is probably the largest owners of property in urban metro centers of any organization in the country, and a huge employer and a multi-billion-dollar business. And I was the chairman of the corporate governance committee on that board, and vice chairman, and elected chairman, and then resigned before the Obama administration took. So I told you before, I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program, responsible for sustaining a budget above $2 billion a year for the World Food Program and the contribution the United States makes to the global relief effort as relates to hunger. I was chairman of the board of the Center for National Policy. I was on the board of Catholic Charities. I was on the board of Jesuit Volunteer Corps Northwest. I was on the board. I keep going down the list of board memberships that I had. And a year and a half before my dad was to leave office, I was approached by a Ukrainian natural gas company through one of their board members to consider being of assistance to a company that was being threatened by the Russian aggression and the invasion of Crimea and the incursions into Donetsk and the Donbass. And I took them on as a client because I was a partner of counsel, at Boies Schiller Flexner, which was a major national global law firm, in which I focused on corporate governance and commercial law. And I represented them for about a 3-month period of time. And through that representation, they asked if I would join the board, which I did. The day that I joined the board, I announced it and sent out a press release of the reasons why that I was joining the board, which came and went and did not become an issue until Rudy Giuliani, along with a guy named Andrei Derkach and a number of others that have all been convicted of treason for being Russian agents, came up with a conspiracy that Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme.
The FBI FBI arrested the person who offered those allegations for falsifying his testimony to the FBI.
For over a 10-year period of time, I worked with a group of people that had a cross-border private equity firm inside of China, and I had a business that was based around advisory for multinational global funds, private equity funds, doing infrastructure work and others. And I was asked to join a fund, the startup inside of China that was had a headquarters in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and New York. And I had a 10% equity stake in that, of which I paid. I made my equity contribution in that, just like every other member of that.
Federal officials are looking at his foreign business dealings, including his ties to a Chinese energy company.
And those are my two
Yeah.
foreign business dealings.
Yeah, because I was kind of looking into it, and it seems like the conspiracy is that through those connections that you had to these, I guess, foreign governments, they were using you to leverage pressure onto your dad
Again,
somehow.
like what?
Well, that's the thing, is that when you're looking
And
for...
I'm not putting you on the spot. And I guess my whole point is that I asked these same questions to the House Oversight Committee. I've been investigated by the House Oversight Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Senate Oversight Committee, and I have been investigated by Maine Justice, the U.S. Attorney in Pittsburgh, the U.S. Attorney in Philadelphia, the U.S. Attorney in District of Columbia, the U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles, the U.S. Attorney of Delaware, the Special Counsel's Office. Not one single person has ever accused me of a crime based upon anything that was in or discovered as it relates to my laptop. Not one. Not a single thing about my laptop. So this whole idea that there was some conspiracy to cover up the laptop, they uncovered 20 years unvarnished of every single communication that I've ever had over a phone or by text or over email or computer in any digital way. There's not one communication that you can even remotely say is evidence of a crime. Not one. Not one time. Not one communication. I would challenge anybody to show one instance other than me seeking drugs for myself, for my own personal use, okay? Or women as it relates to, people that were in the drug trade that I would seek for the purchase of drugs. One single instance in which anyone has used any one of those communications as evidence of any kind of crime at all. Now, take that, okay? That's it. So you say Hunter Biden's laptop. What? By the way, I'm talking out there to people that I would assume are, or want to be on my side, or at least want to be on the side that I'm a part of. What about Hunter Biden's laptop? How about this? Well, it was a cover-up. Twitter took it down, and it was a big cover-up. And you have Matt Taibbi and all these guys that say, yeah, it was that Twitter took it down and Facebook took it down.
It seems that big tech only censors media companies, only censor stories when they're negative towards the Biden campaign.
You know why they took it down? Because what they did was they published naked photos of me and women, which is in violation of their terms, and which, by the way, is a criminal act under the new federal law that was passed by accredited to Melania Trump, with universal support in the House and the Senate. That's why they took it down. It wasn't a cover-up. And then you had 100 former national security officials come out and say, this looks like it could be a Russian op. Because it is. Because in the course of an election, what happens? You have Rudy Giuliani in conjunction with Steve Bannon, in conjunction with Miles Gow, who's in jail, who is, I don't know how many other counts of fraud and bribery, and is a Chinese national, was working directly with Steve Bannon, and a number of others, including Bernie Kerik, who, God rest his soul, is dead, that basically came out and said, we have Hunter Biden's laptop. And the big reveal about Hunter Biden's laptop was that I was a crack addict. But, unfortunately for them, I had already admitted that I was a crack addict in the pages of the New Yorker, and did a, 13,000-word article with Adam Entos, in which I told everything about myself and my own struggles. And they just simply conflated the two. They said, well, Joe Biden fired the prosecutor in Ukraine to benefit his son. Completely debunked. Person that said that I took a bribe for that happens to be a guy named Shokin, who is in prison for lying to the FBI on a form FD 1023. In prison. Admitted to it. Admitted that he was enticed into making it up on behalf of the Trump team aside. The only other guy that came up and said that there was illegal and wrongdoing and bribery was a guy named Gal Luft, who was later convicted or an abstentia, both by the EU and as a arrest warrant out for him for Interpol and the United States as a arms dealer, selling Chinese weapons to the Iranians and to the Libyans. And so again, I ask, so Hunter Biden's laptop, so what? So what?
It sounds like it was just became political cannon fodder to, make that election cycle as colorful as possible.
How do you defend yourself against it, though? So if somebody says...
Well, let's start with the fact that your private photos were leaked by somebody that was supposed to be repairing your laptop.
Some people will go, well, hey, wait a second. Aren't you just leafing through someone else's private property?
It can be perceived that way, but again, he hired me to do that.
Number one, I literally have no memory of ever dropping my laptop off there, okay? This guy swears that I did, okay? Regardless, to your point, okay, this is Wilmington. That laptop repair shop is in Trolley Square. I had family that owned a business that was literally the opposite side of them. There are literally within a stone's throw of where that person is in a very, very small community, at least a dozen people directly related to my family. Every night he used to go to 2 or 3 different bars in which he could have literally turned and talked to anyone and said, do you know how to get in touch with Hunter?
You're talking about the laptop
repair shop guy. Somehow that doesn't happen. But somehow this guy, who's supposed to be repairing a laptop, he says, decides what he's going to do is he's going to review the material, and what he sees is he thinks is evidence of a crime.
McIsaac says he also found documents that show payments made to Hunter Biden from a Ukrainian energy company that have become the center of a political firestorm.
More emails from Hunter Biden's laptop keep surfacing.
I want to know where Hunter Biden's laptop is.
Let's get the truth. What's in this laptop?
Now again, the evidence he thinks is of a crime is my drug use. He thinks it's embarrassing. And all of a sudden, who ends up with my laptop? The one person in that moment in time that had more to gain than anyone else.
I got the hard drive legally, completely legally. Why are they worried about how I got it? Why don't they just say it's untrue?
Rudy Giuliani and his lawyer on behalf of Donald Trump. How is that possible? Does that just happen to happen?
You think that somebody that knows you may have been paid off to orchestrate some kind of data leak?
I don't know. And at this point, it's like, who cares? So then I get in an argument about, like, okay, well, who took the laptop? How did the laptop disseminate it? Was there really a laptop? Because there really isn't, by the way. Here's another anomaly of this. There really isn't a laptop. There's a hard drive. And then there's an amalgamation of a hard drive. There's an original hard drive that he says he has, and he argues with everybody else who says that there are like 400 gigabytes more that were added onto that from the dark web.
You never got a laptop before you wrote that story, did you?
That's correct.
You got a hard drive.
Hard drive.
And you received that hard drive from Rudy Giuliani, right?
Yep.
Okay. Who had been openly associating with an agent of Russian intelligence in the months leading up to your story. You agree with that, right?
I guess.
So you think the repair shop story is made up?
I don't know, but all I know is that whatever this amalgamation of stuff is came from a whole host of different sources.
Yeah.
Because you can look at it now and the stuff that like who thinks this is right? Who thinks it's right that every picture that you've ever taken, the ones that you would be embarrassed by and the ones that you would be proud of, should be on a website controlled by a guy that is a Christo-fascist fucking incel that lives in Indiana or Illinois? I forget which one.
Let's hope Indiana, because it's worse.
But really, who comes up with a 435-page dossier about all the crimes that it details, but literally it just is it is an entire fiction that makes money off of. Who thinks that's right? And so, but again, I get these discussions where, well, their laptop really doesn't exist, but what is it? Like, you go down these rabbit holes and you do exactly what they say. As long as they say laptop loud enough, often enough, you automatically, and Hunter Biden, crack cocaine, and, you know, here's the picture, and here he is shirtless smoking crack in a bathtub, and, you know, I keep flashing that over and over again, and I say Hunter Biden, laptop, Ukraine, China, Hunter Biden, laptop, bird flu. Like, literally, you keep doing that over and over and over again. What, like, none of it bears any resemblance to reality. The reality is this. I ran into legal trouble